go be a friend.
Thank you for staying with us this first Saturday of 2023. Every new year, people think about their New Year resolutions. I'm not sure they still make them like we used to make them in those days, but you begin to turn your attention to ways of improving your life. You will make resolutions which will talk about how you're going to become a fitter person, how you're going to become a healthier person, the exercise regime you want to make.
Make more money.
You know, of course, how to make more money. That is a given. There was no point mentioning it because it was number one on that list anyway. You know, eating healthy, staying healthy, exercising. Well, okay, I'll go to the gym more often this year. But you don't think about what I consider now that I want to talk to her, now that the matter has been raised, one of the most important things: how to reduce your stress.
Or manage the stress.
Well, remember they told us that there was good stress.
Yes, that's you stress. No, it's not you. It's you.
You?
No, it's not you. EU.
EU stress. Whatever. People don't want any kind of stress if they can help it. Well, they say that you can manage the stress, and you can make sure that it doesn't affect you adversely. But there is a specialist here who will tell us how to achieve that, how to reduce it to the barest minimum, and even if it is there, how to manage it. Founder, team lead, the wellness boss, Chris Ero. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
And welcome.
Thank you so much.
I love your green hair.
Thank you.
The glasses to go with the green hair.
Very Nigerian.
Thank you.
By the way, that's true. You look perfect.
It's not very Nigerian.
We both got the memo.
It's very woman.
We both got the green memo.
We got the green memo today.
We both did.
Good to see you, Chris.
Yeah, same here. Great to be here. Great to be here.
So, this matter of stress again. You've told us that we cannot avoid stress. Fine. Okay. Now, how do we relieve ourselves of stress? Because stress will come, no matter what we do.
Definitely.
We will have stress.
Definitely.
Okay. So this is a new year. I don't want to be stressed at all this year. Like they say in Lagos, Omo jeje.
Omo jeje ni.
That's right.
Yes.
I don't want any kind of stress. But you people tell us that no matter what we do, we will get some stress. Even the one that you all call the good stress. So when the stress comes, what kind of things can we do to make sure that they don't affect us adversely?
Well, first of all, you need to realize what stress is.
Okay.
Right? And what stress is to you.
Okay, let's go there again. What is stress?
Stress is basically your body's response to internal and external stimuli. And when we say stress is, we're not saying some stress is good. We're not saying some stress is bad. We're saying all stress is good. It is our relationship with stress. Yes.
Ayo, take note. All stress is good.
Stress is just stress. That's what it is. But it's our relationship with the stress that determines if it's good or bad.
Our relationship with the stress.
Yes, the relationship you have with it, the mindset you have towards it, the perception you have of stress. Now, your perception will actually drive the relationship you build with it. You know, it sounds funny when we talk about building a relationship with stress, but it's actually what it is. You have to build that relationship with it, because over the years, we've built a falsified relationship with stress based on notions that are not true. You know, we've been told stress is bad. So because stress is bad, our relationship towards it is one of avoidance, one of, okay, this is bad for me, I don't need it in my life. So what I'm looking for is things to reduce it, things to relieve me of stress, rather than looking at stress as, okay, this is good for me. So what are the benefits? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? So what are the benefits to this thing? By the time you're able to wire your mind that way, it's easier for you to deal appropriately.
Perhaps a good way to even begin is to, or one of the first few things to say following this that you just made is to even identify whether or not people should actually expect the stress. I ask that because, as you've said, stress is going to come. It's a given. Whether or not people expect it to come, it's already gotten on the bus. It's on the way. It's going to come. So, at what point should people, how do I put this? At what point, in what way should people prepare or anticipate this stress in a way that will not be adverse? Or is that a good thing to even say? Anticipate that stress is going to come?
Well, you're not going to anticipate that stress is going to come, but you're going to anticipate that life is going to happen. And
life could be stress.
Life is actually stress. Oh. No, really. The thing is, when we think about stress, most times we think about the big experiences that happen to us. We think about the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one. We think about, lack of money, heavy traffic. We don't think about having to wake up in the morning. We don't think about having to think of what to eat or how to pair your clothing so that you look good. That in itself is stressful. You don't think about the joy that comes with meeting someone that you haven't seen in a long while. The excitement of it, that in itself is stressful. So because we all look at the negative experiences.
Hold on.
Yes?
Hold on. Happiness is stressful?
Happiness is stress. It gives you some form of stress.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it gives you a rush. There's a rush of cortisol that comes in.
Yeah, we're too busy being happy to realize that it is stress.
That's why I'm saying it is, another person can see that, right? The way you attribute yourself to it can actually turn that into a negative. When you love someone, right, there's a feeling, there's a rush that comes into you. That in itself, where you're going to meet the person, or it's a form of stress.
Butterflies in your stomach.
Exactly, it's a form of stress, but it's good stress, right? But then it becomes bad when you dwell in it for too long. That's when, addiction comes in, obsession comes in. So you now have the negative aspect of that. But on its own, it's a good feeling. Okay,
now you talked about cortisol now. What does that mean?
Cortisol is a hormone that is released when you experience stress. And it's the hormone that actually enables you.
So it's generic?
Yeah, it's generic, everybody. So it's a hormone that actually enables you deal with the stress at hand. There are basically two responses to stress. There's a third one anyway. You either flee, right, flight, fight, or freeze. You're just frozen. So it's the cortisol that helps you get the energy to do whichever you need to do at that point.
So there is energy for freezing?
Yes, there's energy for freezing. It takes a lot to stay in one place and not do anything. It does take a lot,
But, okay, so Alero began by talking about New Year resolutions and how people, are looking at the year already. Now, for people who see, it's only natural. I mean, Chris, you've been through this.
Yeah.
It's only natural for people who have expectations, who have goals set, and they know that it's not going to happen the way I want it to happen. So that stress is already there on their mind that, look, how is this thing going to happen? So there's that pressure that they've given themselves of, oh, how am I going to get this? How am I going to get that? I want to get married this year. I want to, have a wife this year. I want to have a child this year. Things they can control, things they can't control. Having to deal with narcissistic people, having to deal with wicked people, having to deal with people who are not going in the same direction as you are. So that's why I talked about whether or not people should expect that the stress is going to come in a particular or from a particular tangent and how to prepare for it.
Okay, let me start off with talking about this idea, this phenomenon called resolutions, right? You said something just now. You said something about people, what they want. I want to have a job. I want to have a car. The question is, should you? Resolutions are basically all about what we want, not what we should have. And then because it's based on what you want, you find that there is this glorified ambience that you put to it, you know. So you have this highfalutin idea of what you want to do, and then you just lay it out there. It's actually an ego trip for a lot of people when you're talking about resolutions. Oh, I want to lose weight.
Pause. So someone is way above the societally recommended, you see my fingers are putting in quotes, societally recommended marriageable age.
Okay, lady's 35.
Okay, for instance, this guy is already crossing 40. He's not married. He's not looking in that direction yet. Not because he doesn't want to, but because, as you said, life is happening. So, is he not supposed to
look in that
direction and want to get married?
Does he want to get married because he wants to get married? Or does he want to get married because he thinks that he should get married due to his age?
What's the difference?
There's a major difference. There's a major difference.
He believes that he has got to an age where he can look after a wife and
kids and raise a family.
Now, when you
so he's ready.
Yeah, you're ready. But what plans have you put in place? What have you put in motion beyond just stating it and saying that, hey, I want to get married this year? Are you making yourself available? Are you putting yourself, have you factored out exactly the kind of woman that you want to get married to?
I have. I put some money in the bank so that I can look after her, so I can pay school fees. I have a house. I have a car.
So all that's left is for the lady to show up.
To show up.
So where do you go for the lady to show up? Do you go to church? Do you go to the market? Do you go to the clubs? You know, so it's a whole factor. But you cannot put your life on standstill because you want to get married. The thing is, you just keep moving. You just keep doing what you need to do. And then, you know, there's something about, there's this attraction, the magnetism of it all. It will get to you eventually. But the problem is we're in a rush, we're in a hurry, and we do not have plans in place. Resolutions mostly are not planned. Resolutions are just vague proclamations.
Wishes.
Yes, vague proclamations. I'm going to have a car. Okay, what kind of car do you want to have? How much do you have in your account? How much does the car cost? How do you plan to pay? Do you even have a space in your home to park the car?
But all
do you even know how
it's stressful already. What you're saying is stressful for me already.
It's not stressful. Do you understand? When I say stressful, it's not stressful in terms of it being bad. In life, for you to be able to make progress, for you to make any form of progress, you need to have a plan in place. You need to have ticks, you know, boxes that you tick as you go along.
Chris, I want to buy a car. You're asking me, okay, what kind of car is it? And what color is the car? And how much is the car? I beg now.
Then you're not ready.
Well, in fairness to her, when I desired a car, right? And I think I mentioned it to one of my colleagues at my place of work at the time. And it took about 5 years or so. When I eventually got the car, the guy was like, "You got it finally." I said, "Did I tell you about it?" I didn't even know I told the guy.
You told me 5 years ago.
Yeah. I said, "Oh, sir, you told me about it."
5 years of stress.
Well, not 5 years of stress, 5 years of planning.
Okay.
You know,
planning.
You know that you're still talking with that mindset of stress is bad. It's 5 years of planning. Now, your journey will be different from his. For someone else, it could take the person a year to get a car. Another person, 10 years. Yeah, yours took 5 years. But it's about what happens in between. What are you doing in between? That
what
is
are you
the
doing
core.
about it?
Exactly, and that is the issue with the bad stress or the chronic stress that comes up, the pressure that comes up towards the end of the year, entering the new year, when people are thinking about, but at the start of 2022, I said I was going to do all these things. This is 2023, I've done nothing. But when they are being very honest and factual with themselves, they realize that you didn't achieve anything because you didn't plan for it.
Okay.
You're not very, very detailed and specific about your actions towards it.
Now, we have these whole personal, professional, moral, financial, social, etc. goals.
Yeah.
But then there are things that would happen along the line to sometimes truncate, shock, or disrupt the process, no matter what it is that you're planning. The flooding of last year, for instance, no one planned for that. No one planned that, you know, such a thing was going to happen to them. Again, I ask, is there a way to prepare for the unexpected? You get to the office. you have a good job and you have colleagues that you love to work with, and for whatever reason, they bring this boss or this subordinate from God knows where.
From hell.
And all plans, all well scripted, well crypted, once well sculptured plans get, I don't even have the word for it, simply because someone shows up. That will bring whatever kind of stress you want to call it, because it's disrupting everything you have laid out specifically, using your words. What happens? Because that's going to happen to someone this year. It's probably already happening to someone.
It's definitely going to happen. Again, it's all part of life, as I said. You're going to have to expect bumps in the road. But what are you going to do when you get to the bumps in the road? The thing you're going to do is not when you get to the bump. Is before you get to the bump. How are you preparing your shock absorbers? Right? Your mental shock absorber. Because everything is all right here. It's actually a mind game.
How do we prepare for shock absorbers?
That's what I'm saying. You have to accept the fact, the reality that things would happen. And then you need to put yourself in a zone where you ask yourself two very important questions. Is this something that I have control over? And is it something that I can change? Those two questions are very key. If it's something that you have control over, then fine, right? Do what you need to do. If it's something you have no control over, then let it go. And is it the universe or whatever it is, do their thing. And then you do your own part by ensuring that you stay focused. Now, if I am going there, I know I'm going to the end of this, I want to get to that wall. And then there are chairs in front of me. Initially, when I envisaged it, there were no chairs, right? And I go like, okay, I'm going to get there straight up. And then eventually I now find out that there are chairs. Instead of going like, oh, why are the chairs? Why are the chairs? I go like, okay, there's a chair here, but I think I can go around it. Can I climb the chair to get to where I'm going? If I can't, can I go around it?
Or can I remove the chair?
Or can I remove the chair?
Or can I get someone to help me take
me,
the chair
exactly.
out?
So by the time you allow yourself to calm down in the midst of the supposed upheaval, you find that you get some bit of clarity regarding what you need to do. It's when we are very emotional, when we get so sentimental about what is going on, we find that we're making decisions that actually turn out to be very bad. You know, because at that point you're not deciding based on logic. You're deciding based on emotions.
So
yes.
Don't panic.
Never panic.
Cool down and think.
Never panic. Never panic. There's something we call BFF, right? In stress mastery. You breathe, you feel, and you focus. Breathe is all about you just calming down, giving yourself time to calm down and understand where you are at that point, right? The feel is you are now, what you're feeling, you're trying to understand it. Why am I angry that this chair is here? Okay, is it because I need to get there? Oh, okay, yeah, but why am I angry? Is the anger helping me in any way? No, it's not. You remember the breathing aspect is now calming you down. By the time you discover that, then you now move to focus. Focus, my goal is to get to that wall. And then I find a way to get there. A lot of times we get disgruntled and then we lose the plot because we are carried up by the emotions. And the funny thing is, no matter the challenge you're going through, you're not the first person to go through the challenge. Why should it not happen to you? Because we find people, at the end of the day, they go, why me? Why me? Why my life? You know, that pity party. It doesn't help you in any way. Because why not you? That's the question you should ask. And that's why we talk about the importance of building resilience. You know, that inner strength to be able to forge ahead.
Sometimes some of these things, Chris, are so easy to say. But when you get into the mix, you forget all of these lectures. If I can understand, you know, the initial reaction, we're talking about something that happened earlier. The first thing that happens is, for instance, you find yourself in the village or in the bush or something, and you unfortunately get a snake bite, and someone tells you how you should have taken, what's that? Bitter-Kola. That's not the first thing in your head.
No.
The first thing in your head
is panic.
It's only natural that that's the first thing that happens to us. So take the example, but the question that I want to ask you is, in stress management, as you said, or building stress. What do you call it? Having a relationship with stress. I don't even know how that works. Building a relationship with stress. We have to factor other people in. Because one way or the other, our lives are not independent. At work, your job is either someone's input or someone's output. At home, your job is either someone's input or someone's output. Among your friends, in church, in the mosque, wherever you find yourself, you have to relate with people. Is there a role for what in management they call emotional intelligence in stress management in such a way that other people's stresses don't get to you in a way that you also have to react emotionally the way they would?
Not stress management, more stress mastery.
It's mastery.
Yeah, you need emotional intelligence for anything, for everything, right? And it's actually what helps build in you the sense of individuality. You need to be able to understand that you need boundaries. For a lot of us, we don't have boundaries. Anything goes, right? We are yes people, we want to please everybody. And because we don't have a strong sense of self, it's easier for us to absorb other energies into us. Now, if you have a strong sense of self, you know what you're about, you can actually be in conversations with people, right? You can actually empathize with people without imbibing their pain emotionally, just as you said, because you have drawn boundaries. Now you're talking about how that is easy to say. Yeah, everything is easier to say. Work is hard. Work is hard. You have to put in the work. You have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional about it. That's why we talk in wellness. We say it's not about a marathon. I mean, it's not a sprint. Sorry, it's a marathon. You go the long distance. You're trying to build a sustainable lifestyle. And you don't get a sustainable lifestyle overnight. You get it by doing little things every day, consistently, until it becomes a habit. You know, the last time I was here, we talked about the 4 A's, where I then said at the end that you need to learn to, after talking about the assessing, the appreciation, and all that, we talked about adjusting and, you have to adjust your body to it. You have to adjust your lifestyle to everything that you have assessed. And then you need to be able to assimilate it to the point that it becomes your life. But when we shy away from the work that needs to be done, then we shouldn't frown when we get the results that we get.
We will frown.
You shouldn't frown.
We will frown.
Because it is work. It is work.
We're closing in a bit, but what are those things that people need to do? First steps. For those who have a default setting of panic, a default setting of stress and what they call stressors. For those who have that quote-unquote negative reaction, emotional reaction and all of that to stress, what are the first steps? And then what are the subsequent things that need to be done sustainably? Okay,
sustainably. Okay, first thing, again, is can I go back to this matter of resolution? I think it's very important that we talk about that before we go into that. The idea behind New Year resolutions is that you're talking about what you want rather than what you should have, right? Now, once you get to the point where you're making plans for the year, shy away from resolutions. Resolutions are things I stopped doing New Year resolutions a long time ago when I realized that it was more like what do you call it? Something that holds you.
A gag.
Yeah, you wouldn't really grow, and then at the end of the year, you're blaming yourself for something you didn't have any business actually resolving to do anyway. So what you need to do, first of all, is to have like an introspection. Going into the year, have an introspection. What do you need? Not what you want. What you want is good, but what do you need? Wants can actually gravitate from your needs. By the time you're meeting your needs, you find that it's easy for you to deal with your wants, right? But your needs should be the very important thing. What do you need at this point? I might want to lose weight, but do I need to lose weight? No. But what I need to do is to be healthy. Now, this is an example, right? What I need to do is to be healthy. Now, because my focus is now about being healthy, what are the steps do I need to take to be healthy, right? But I've understood myself. I now know, okay, what is my medical history? Am I obese? Do I have diabetes? is my own needs the same as Lagbaja's needs, for instance, yeah? So if I see someone doing something, is that something that I should do? So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. By the time you're clear on that, it's easy for you to draw up a plan. And then not just drawing up a plan, you need to have like a review system in place, like a track record of some sorts, where maybe at the end of a month, at the end of 2 months, you are able to go back and review, okay, how far have I gone? What have I done in this regard? And it's also important for you to have an accountability partner.
I was going to ask if that would help.
Accountability partner, yeah, it's very, very important. Okay. Because it's easy to get derailed. Life happens, as you say, right? So we are not islands. We need a support system. And that's what your accountability partner does for you. And we also have to be very careful here with people who run to everybody as accountability partners. There are some people who exude so much negativity that you don't need in your life, right? You feel that they are your accountability partner, but they're actually bringing you down.
What would I be asking my accountability partner?
It depends on what your needs are. It depends on what your goals are, right? So you need an accountability partner that keeps you on track.
Okay, I'm obese. And it's my goal this year, through the year, to lose 10 kg. So I have an accountability. So am I going to ask her from time to time?
How am I looking?
Well, how you're looking, well, that's you to determine. You look at yourself in the mirror and you have to love yourself, because other people can bring you down. Yeah, okay. You might look in the mirror and think you look good. Another person say, you don't. So that begins to affect your psyche. So it's not basically about how you look, but it's about, are you sticking to your plans? What plans do you have? Now, your accountability partner is aware of what your goals are, and the person actually works with you in drawing up not just vague plans, but actually plans that can be
specific.
Yes, very, very specific. Exactly.
Tangible.
So what the person does, maybe every Monday you're supposed to wake up at 6 o'clock and you're waking up at 9. And you're kind of like, madam, 6 o'clock is the time we're supposed to wake up. So you're having a problem waking up at 6. Is your accountability partner that helps you ensure that you put processes in place that you wake up at 6.
Gives you a cane. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, there are so many things to ask you. What
as always when Chris comes.
Yes, because she's always toggling with our brains. Chris Ero, founder, team lead, the wellness boss. Thank you so much
for
your time this morning, and all the best. Always.
Thank you.
Well, we understand there are some people who help to relieve certain kinds of stress, or are they also stress mastery agents one way or the other? That's all when we return with our home stretch.